Hey fellas, how's it going? So wanted to do a couple of updates, a few things going on. One, I just wanted to update general stuff. I'm almost 4.5 months post-op stage 1 RFF phalloplasty, and also I have a revision this coming Monday the 20th, and I wanted to talk a little bit about that and my intentions surrounding updating on one of those procedures that I think would be helpful. So first off, I'll just do a brief rundown on just general updates, scars and such, and sensations since surgery. This is my donor arm. It's got a couple of what I call rotten spots on it, just kind of like rotten spots on a banana. They look a little bit brown in a couple areas. The underside healed pretty much perfectly. I'm super happy with the underside. There's none of those there, but on the top side there's a couple of little spots. About 3 weeks ago, I started using this amazing sleeve. I was pretty anti anything that came up above the elbow. Just in theory, I just couldn't see it being comfortable, and just, didn't want more sleeve that I needed to be wearing. What I found though is that these sleeves that came up to the elbow, a couple of things that I didn't like about them. One, it was putting a lot of tension on the scar right here, the leash scar. Two, it didn't feel comfortable because it did have those kind of elastic, grippy things on the inside that would grip to the skin and kind of hold it in that area, but it did put unneeded tension on that scar. And also, if I was out in the sun, I wasn't protecting the full length of the leash, which actually comes up to here, which is well beyond my elbow. So I kind of surrendered to the idea that I would try something longer. And I love this sleeve so much. I will put a link to it somewhere in this post. It's made out of wool. If wool is itchy to you, it might not be the best option. I certainly love it for quite a few reasons. One, it's really easy to put on and it's comfortable. I can adjust how high I want it to be. I can wear it up super high, or I can certainly bunch it down lower, depending on what my needs are that day. The other thing I like about it is that it's got these natural kind of creases and bunchy fabric, because my arm isn't incredibly huge. And so what it does is it naturally camouflages the area with the tissue steps down from non-graft to graft area. So that it really blends in a lot better than the kind of sheer compression sleeves that have that elastic on them and are just very thin. So super happy about it. The other thing that's awesome is that when I go to take it off, turn it inside out, and it still looks right side out. So I can just throw it down on the counter. When I want to put it back on, I just slip it right back on my arm, and it's easy and quick and comfortable. I noticed a little bit of edema at one day on my hand. There's a little bit of tension at the wrist here. So what I did, and I do if I have any issues with swelling that day, I'll just move it up a tiny bit so it's up off the wrist, and a little more of the edema and swelling can get down into the bridge with more ease. So that's that. Let's see, I'll just give you a little peek at the leg graft. This is, I'm really not lotioning and massaging it nearly as much as I probably should be, maybe once or twice a week at this point. It's still fading out really well, so it starts here and here, and you can see a good amount of that has just totally blended in, and when I massage it, it goes almost invisible in parts of the tissue. So it's coming along well. It's a little bit kind of alligator skinny-ish, so it's kind of dry. I tried to lotion it when I can. The other things I notice is I'm a little bit more prone to pimples along this area, and I think it's because the skin is a little bit tougher because it's, it's a mild scar, and so it's having a harder time getting through, the hair follicles getting through the scar. So that's that. These underwear are called, they're by My Package, and super recommend checking them out. They're a great brand, really comfortable, and they have keyhole technology, which essentially is like a pouch for your penis. So this is the hookup scar. You can actually see it really well. I just trimmed because I have my revision coming up on Monday, and I didn't want to be super hairy. So you can really see it's stretched out a bit up here towards the top, and also towards my groin where they did the connection of the penis and where the scrotum is. It's a little stretched. Nothing, not a big deal, but I did notice it. And these are the glandsplasty incision and the SP scar, which is still kind of hung up on some scar tissue here. I haven't had any success releasing it, but it blends in really well when my pubic hair is grown out. What else? I think that's all for scars. In terms of sensation on the penis, I've been using a vibrator that I started using at about maybe 3.5 weeks and 3.5 or 4 weeks. Initially could not feel anything at all along the penis when I used it, and now I have so much sensation when I put it on it. It can be too much. So depending on how high I turn the vibrator up, the intensity is too much. I have the most sensation at the tip, and actually if I press my finger into the meatus, just like pressure onto it, that area is super sensitive too, with and without the vibrator. Certainly I feel a whole lot more on the penis with the vibrator than without, but also if I stroke it through clothing, that creates sensations that I can feel that I can't feel directly on the skin itself. So that's interesting. Sometimes I can feel more through underwear, through pants, than I can directly on the skin. So just been using a variety of different light, hard, touch, vibration, tickling, whatever, you know, to kind of wake up and expose those nerves to different kinds of sensation. Okay, so moving on to, one more thing is wrist flexibility. I know it's a big thing that's talked about, people are often worried about. I know I was. I'm pretty much symmetrical at this point, and it's been like this for about maybe 6 weeks or so, 6 to 8 weeks, and both wrists can really do pretty much the same movements. This still feels tight. You know, it feels like my arm is being gripped. Some people describe it as feeling like it's in a cast. It does still feel like that, not as much as it did initially, and I can still do those same motions, but it feels different. You know, and I'm sure over time it really loosens up, but that's still a sensation that I feel. Oh, my revision. So I'm having a few things done. Nothing is critical that needs to be done right now, but I wanted to address these things prior to getting my implant in October, because I felt like it was a better plan for me. So first off, I'm having closure of the perineal area, which is the main reason why I'm going in. There is a small opening, maybe about this big, and about that deep as well. But it keeps reopening. If I'm not careful with how I sit down or if I roughhouse, I've split like a tiny little piece of it back open. Small, you know, like smaller than the head of a pencil eraser, but it'll bleed again, and it's also secreting fluids, which is just like, I just can't do it. It grosses me out. And it's got an odor to it that is reminiscent of pre-op tissues down there. So that's going to be closed up. A little of that skin will be cut out and closed up. And I have 2 little tiny pockets on my scrotum, which is typical of how Crane and Chen do their scrotoplasty. They kind of fold the sac up, and occasionally the incision line can kind of recess. And when that happens, it kind of exposes a sebaceous tissue. So those need to be cut out and removed. I'm having a little bit of a incision line revision done. I had an S-scar, I developed S-scar after my stage 1, which was essentially like a scab that grew on my sac. And it went away by about 2.5 weeks post-op. But where that scab was, the scar kind of separated a little bit more, so there's a larger groove. It's a little bit more noticeable. Again, really minor things, but I just feel like if I'm there, I'll do it. Chen didn't even think like I needed a revision in that area, but I just, you know, I think with these things, we really just have to go on our gut, what feels right to us, and for me, that's what feels right for me. I you know, like if I have the coverage, you know, and I kind of have this mental image of what things are going to look like, and I've got some control over that, then and I'm going to take the initiative to make it happen. I'm having a cystoscopy done. I'm peeing fine, but I do notice more so when I sit down. If I'm sitting to pee, it feels like there is there's more pressure there to empty my bladder, and I'm not sure if that's because of a stricture or if that's only because the new creation of the urethra is just different now. The structure is different. So when the body is in seated position, it could be that that is just like a new normal for me, that it's much harder for me to empty my bladder. I can do it, it's just, it feels like I'm pressing against something. So I figure have them take a look and just see if there's an issue. They can usually just cut it with the scope. He said if there's a bigger stricture, sometimes they'll leave a catheter in, but you know, I'm emptying my bladder in under 30 seconds, which is really common. So it's unlikely that I have a stricture at all. And then lastly, the thing that I really wanted to talk about is that I'm having some fat grafting done, and I know that that's something that folks are often questioned about, and mostly in terms of having RFF done if you're a thinner guy. And again, this was a procedure that Chen was like, I don't really think you need it. He said that I'm fairly middle of the line in terms of a really, really full appearing penis and a more deflated one. He said I'm pretty middle and very average in terms of the density of my penis, the shaft. And so again, I've got coverage. I didn't know what insurance was going to do, but I figured send off a pre-authorization for the coding for fat grafting and see what happens. Guys often get, you know, the opposite done for their ALT, so why wouldn't this qualify as well? So essentially what they'll be doing is the opposite of what guys who choose to have lipo done on their penis after ALT or MLD. And they go in and instead of adding fat to it, or instead of taking fat away, they add fat to it. A common place to take that fat from is the hips. Certainly other places can be used, like the belly. I'm going to have mine taken off of the love handles, and then they kind of purify the fat down so it's just 100% fat cells that are left over, and then they inject it into the penis. The issue with this process is that fat cells need a vascularity, a blood supply to survive. So in the same way that when they take graft and put it on your arm, after they've taken your artery, when they put that graft on, it does not have its own blood supply, and that's why it scars up and you can lose parts of it, because this tissue really needs blood supply to stay healthy and malleable. So fat cells are different in that they're not going to, they're going to necrose, essentially. Some of them are going to necrose. What that means is that they're not going to like turn black or turn my penis black. There's no issue there. It's not a risk of losing my penis. It's just that those cells that they inject might stick around for a little bit and then eventually die off, and then the penis would go back to the state that it was prior to the fat transfer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take measurements before I have surgery. I'm going to take measurements immediately afterwards, and then I'm going to try to do weekly measurements to see what's sticking around, because it would be nice to have some kind of more concrete data on what this procedure can do, what happens. I honestly only know one guy that's had it done, and I've been super grateful to have conversation with him surrounding it, but I would like to broaden that conversation so that there's more of a resource available for people who are interested in it. So that's on Monday the 20th, and I'll just be catching up once that happens. So I'm going to take off. This video is kind of long. Thanks for watching, and have any questions, definitely shoot them my way. I'll do a blog update at some point. I just haven't gotten around to it for my 4-month update. All right, thanks a lot, guys. Take care of yourselves.
I become the death against and fit with it. I'm a red mural on this ship, and I race with infants for my coronation. I rule over all my dead and